She was one of the brightest minds of the ancient world, a woman who understood the stars, numbers, and the universe better than anyone around her. People traveled across continents just to learn from her. So how did a respected philosopher become the target of a deadly mob? Was it jealousy, fear, or the power of belief taken too far? This is the unforgettable story of Hypatia, the genius who dared to think differently. Welcome. Today, we're journeying back to the ancient city of Alexandria, a bustling metropolis of knowledge and ideas, to uncover the life and legacy of a woman whose intellect shone brighter than the famous lighthouse that guarded its harbor. In the late 4th century, long before women were commonly seen in academic circles, Hypatia stood as a giant. She wasn't just a teacher, she was a philosopher, brilliant mathematician, and a respected astronomer. Imagine a classroom, not of stone walls and wooden desks, but an open forum where ideas flowed freely. This was Hypatia's world. Her father, Theon, himself a renowned scholar at the Museum of Alexandria, nurtured her curiosity from a young age. He saw in her a mind without limits, and he gave her the tools to explore them. Hypatia quickly surpassed even her father's teachings. She became a leading figure in the Neoplatonic school of philosophy, which sought to understand the universe through reason, logic, and the pursuit of a higher, divine truth. Students from all corners of the Roman Empire, pagans, Christians, people from different cultures and backgrounds flocked to her lectures. They didn't just come to learn about geometry or the movements of the planets, they came to learn how to think. She taught them to question everything, to seek evidence, and to find harmony in the logical structure of the cosmos. One of her students, a man named Synesius, who would later become a bishop, wrote letters to her filled with admiration, calling her his mother, sister, and revered teacher. This shows the profound respect and love she commanded. She wasn't just imparting knowledge, she was shaping the minds of future leaders. But her ideas made powerful enemies. To understand Hypatia's story, we must first understand her city, Alexandria. Founded by Alexander the Great, it was the intellectual capital of the world. At its heart was the legendary Great Library, a repository of scrolls containing the accumulated wisdom of ancient civilizations. For centuries, it was a beacon for scholars, poets, and scientists. Though the main library had suffered fires and decline by Hypatia's time, its spirit lived on in smaller libraries and in the city's vibrant academic culture. Alexandria was a melting pot of cultures, religions, and philosophies. Greek thought mixed with Egyptian traditions, and new faiths like Christianity were rapidly gaining influence. This vibrant mix, however, was also a source of tension. The city was a chessboard of power struggles. There was the Roman political authority, represented by the prefect Orestes. There were the traditional pagan beliefs, deeply woven into the city's history. And there was the rising influence of the Christian Church, led by the assertive and ambitious patriarch, Cyril. These factions often clashed, turning intellectual debates into street-level conflicts. The air in Alexandria was thick not only with the scent of papyrus and sea salt but with the electricity of change and the rumble of impending conflict. It was in this volatile, brilliant, and dangerous city that Hypatia lived and taught. Hypatia navigated this complex world with grace and integrity. She was a woman ahead of her time in every sense. In an era when most women's lives were confined to the domestic sphere, she was a public intellectual. She moved freely through the city, teaching openly and engaging in dialogue with its most powerful men. She was known to ride her chariot through the streets of Alexandria, a symbol of her independence and status. Her philosophy was grounded in logic and reason. She believed that the path to understanding the divine wasn't through blind faith alone, but through the rigorous study of mathematics and the natural world. For her, the universe was a beautiful, ordered system, and understanding its rules was a way of getting closer to its creator. This approach was incredibly empowering. It suggested that anyone, through discipline and critical thinking, could unlock the secrets of the cosmos. She wasn't telling people what to believe, she was teaching them how to discover truth for themselves. In a world increasingly divided by dogma, her classroom was a sanctuary of open-minded inquiry. She stood for the idea that knowledge was universal, belonging to no single group or creed. This powerful message of intellectual freedom was inspiring to many, but deeply unsettling to others. This is the moment that changed everything. The fear of what Hypatia represented began to grow. Her influence was undeniable. The city's prefect, Orestes, was one of her close friends and former students. He often sought her counsel on political matters. This close relationship between a pagan philosopher and the Roman governor was viewed with deep suspicion by Patriarch Cyril. Cyril was working to consolidate the church's power in Alexandria, and he saw Hypatia's influence over Orestes as a direct obstacle. In his view, a city guided by Christian authorities should not be taking advice from a woman who represented the old world of pagan philosophy and science. It wasn't just about political power, it was about the nature of truth itself. Hypatia's emphasis on reason and evidence challenged the idea that truth could only be found through scripture and church doctrine. Rumors began to spread. Malicious whispers twisted her teachings, portraying her not as a philosopher, but as a sorceress who used dark arts to bewitch the city's leader. Her wisdom was reframed as a threat. Her knowledge became her crime. To those who saw the world in black and white, her nuanced, rational approach was dangerous. She represented a world where authority could be questioned, and that was a world they could not tolerate. The climate of fear and intolerance was reaching its boiling point. In the year 415, during the season of Lent, the tension in Alexandria finally broke. As Hypatia was traveling through the city in her chariot, she was ambushed. A mob, incited by the fierce rhetoric that had been poisoning the city's atmosphere, dragged her from her carriage. In a frenzy of misplaced zeal, they ended her life because they feared her voice. They feared the power of a mind they could not control. We won't dwell on the specifics of this tragedy. The horror lies not in the details, but in the reason why it happened. It was a brutal act born of ignorance and the fear of knowledge. A mob silenced one of the ancient world's greatest thinkers, and in doing so, plunged a torch into the heart of reason. The news of her death sent shockwaves through the intellectual world. It was seen as a dark turning point, the moment when philosophical debate was replaced by brute force, and the light of inquiry was overshadowed by the darkness of extremism. Her friend Orestes left Alexandria, defeated. The city's intellectual climate grew colder, more cautious. The open forums for debate began to close. But they could not destroy her legacy. While her enemies succeeded in silencing her voice, they failed to extinguish her ideas. The light of knowledge is not so easily put out. Her students carried her teachings with them, spreading her philosophies of reason and inquiry across the Mediterranean world. The mathematical and astronomical works she edited and commented on survived, influencing scholars in the Islamic Golden Age and, later, the European Renaissance. Figures like Copernicus and Kepler, who revolutionized our understanding of the cosmos, were standing on the shoulders of ancient thinkers like Hypatia. Her story was passed down through the centuries, a cautionary tale about the dangers of fanaticism and a powerful symbol of intellectual courage. Today, she is honored as a martyr for philosophy. Craters on the moon are named after her. Books, plays, and films celebrate her life. She has become an icon for feminists, scientists, and all who believe in the liberating power of education. Hypatia reminds us that thinking for oneself is a brave and sometimes dangerous act, but it is essential for human progress. She proves that even when a life is tragically cut short, a powerful idea can live forever. Hypatia's story shows that knowledge can be powerful, and sometimes people fear what they don't understand. Why do you think the world tried to silence her? Share your thoughts in the comments. And if this inspired you, please like the video, subscribe for more true stories that deserve to be remembered, and share it to honor her legacy. Thank you for watching.